We're going to talk about Korea at the International Games. So the three that I want to focus on, baseball and soccer, and then I want to talk about the Olympics. Now, not going to talk about traditional Korean sports. Obviously, ping pong's a big deal, like badminton and everything, and taekwondo. So we're going to avoid those and talk about some other stuff. So let's talk about the Olympics from 1988. Seoul got to host those. So the idea to place the bid for the Olympics came during Park Chung-hee's administration in the late 1970s. And then he died, so Jeon Do-hwan took over and submitted Korea's bid for to host the Olympics. So there were kind of some circumstances that he was hoping to fix. So he wanted to legitimize himself and his own image as a legitimate dictator, well, not dictator, but administrator, amid all the political pressure that he was under to democratize the country. Also, he was trying to protect himself against threats from North Korea, and he wanted to showcase the Korean economic miracle. So this is Korea's GDP growth from 1911 to 2008. So the war ended right around here in 1945, World War II, and then there was the Korean War, and then 1988 is when it started to get crazy, and their economy skyrocketed. So no doubt aided by the Olympics. So in June 1987, the year before the Olympics, there were some political demonstrations. Long story short, the president had to step down, and that resulted in Korea's first direct elections. And so Roh Tae-woo took over as the first elected president of Korea. He's right here. And Korea's transition into democracy was really kind of a result of the Olympics. They didn't want to taint the Olympic Games. If you guys remember Beijing, there was a lot of political stuff going on there with the air quality and everything. So there was a lot that the country had to do to prepare for those Olympics, and they really wanted, since they were going to have all 6 billion people in the world looking at their country for 2 weeks, they wanted to make sure everything was perfect. And so Korea, same deal back in 1988. The North Korea boycotted the Olympics in 88. Fidel Castro called for North Korea to be the host of the games, and so they wanted to join with South Korea. So they wanted at least 11 out of the 23 Olympic sports to be on North Korean territory. But the Olympic Committee did not meet their demands. They were willing to give them like 5 or 6 of the games, but not all 11. And so as a result, North Korea boycotted, as well as Cuba, Ethiopia, and Nicaragua. They didn't want any part of that. This is their mascot of Seoul 98, Hodori, meaning pull from tiger, and I don't know Dori, it says it means diminutive term for a boy or something. But it's a cute, cuddly little tiger, and so it wanted to symbolize how friendly and hospitable Korea and Koreans are. So kind of cool. And in case you're wondering, Korea took 4th overall in the medal count. Soviet Union and East Germany dominated, and then the U.S. came in there, and South Korea took 4th. So that always somehow happens where the host country just does really well. Canada won the Winter Olympics when it was in Vancouver. Does anyone know who this is? Just kidding. That's Kim Yeon-ah. This is Park Tae-hwan. He's a swimmer. Koreans are very, very good at the short track, speed skating, right? So this is Apollo Ono. They don't like him. If you go on a mission and people say, "Where are you from?" I say, "I'm from Washington." They're like, "Oh, okay." I'm like, "Yeah, Apollo Ono," and they're like, "Oh," and they actually get upset because of what happened there. This is a legally blind archer, if you guys remember, from 2012. His name is Im Dong-hyun, and he dominates. So let's move into baseball. Baseball was first introduced by American missionaries about 100 years ago. And the cool thing about baseball, along with other sports, was that it kind of served as a diversion. Like, people were really stressed out in 1905 in Korea with the Japanese occupation and everything. And as you went on into World War II and the Korean War. It just kind of gave some people something to take their minds off of. Not everyone got to participate or watch or play baseball, but that's okay. It's not the same as it is in America. Oh, what have I done? Go back. All right, come over here. They have cheerleaders in their dugout, which is a little bit strange because in Korea or in America we do not have cheerleaders, obviously. I want to show you this is different too.
피디님이 생각이 똑같았습니다. 넘어지는 게 또 더 재밌었어요. 여기서 결국은 빈볼 시위를 서로 또 다른 게임으로 승화시키는 이들의 모습이었죠. 싸움의 이유를 이렇게 풀다면
So in America, we throw bows. We like to get in fights, and for whatever reason, I don't know if that's real or if that if it was staged or if that's how they brawl, but clearly not the same as how we do things in America. And I don't know why. They do really well in baseball. Koreans do. They took the bronze in their Olympic debut in 2000, and then they actually won the gold in 2008 in Beijing. They do really well in the World Baseball Classic. I remember being on my mission in Korea when they lost to Japan in the championship. It was on TV at a restaurant I was at, and it was a close one. So it kind of fuels the rivalry with Japan a little bit because they're very good as well. One of the first Koreans to make it to the big leagues in America was Park Chan-ho, and he's been playing for a while. And he played for a while, and he kind of paved the way for others because he was so successful for so long that other Koreans who wanted to play baseball in the big leagues would have a much easier path to get here. And then currently, Chu Shin-soo is one of the premier players in the league today. Baseball is big enough that Korea actually said it's okay if he doesn't go to the military, just because he played so well and helped Korea win the gold medal in the Asian Games in 2010. So if you don't think sports is a big deal, if you already know how important the military is in Korea, these players get exempted from their military service if they do well. I have to show you this too because Korean baseball announcers are awesome.
자, 1사주 없이 타석에 2번 타자 이용규 나왔습니다. 자, 지금까지 선수들 이종욱, 이용규, 김현수 모든 선수들이 정말 너무 잘해주기 때문에 감야말만 나간다 이런 얘기를 합니다만 자,
They're a little more excitable than American announcers. If you watch baseball, it's pretty mellow. But Koreans love to get excited. Two boy. They're really excitable, and it's a lot of fun to watch them guys. All right, moving on to soccer now. Soccer is kind of like the world sport, right? So soccer got to Korea a little bit before baseball did, 1882, and very similar to baseball, it gave people something to do. I think one of the reasons soccer is such a big deal, culturally speaking, is that you don't need money to play soccer, really. You need a ball or something that looks like a ball that you can roll if it's not a real ball. And you don't really need anything else. You just need some space, and you can just kick a soccer ball around. And so, unfortunately, in 1940, they had to dissolve the Korean Football Association. Came back after VJ Day and after Korea was alleviated from Japan. The World Cup was in Korea and Japan in 2002. It's the first World Cup in Asia. Korea did really well. The economic impact was, you can't even really put it in words. 3 million live spectators and then $1.2 billion. So FIFA actually told Japan and Korea, you'll each make about $110 million, and they brought in 1.2 million. So they made a ton of money. They pumped a bunch of money into expanding their soccer stadiums, and Korea actually is still using all the soccer stadiums that they expanded. Japan is not, and so Korea has a much greater return on their stuff. That is a lot of people in Korea, the Reds, and that was during the World Cup. So it's unbelievable. Also exempted from their military service because they won the Olympic bronze medal. I believe against Japan. So that is Park Ji-sung. He currently plays for Manchester United. So that is all we have time for today.